Sound right, boys. It sound right, boys. It sound right, boys. It sound right, boy.
Hey,
Mic is hot.
can you hear me?
Welcome. Yep, I can hear you.
Cool.
Trying to set up my earphones. How are you?
Good, how's it going?
Yeah. When's the last time we saw each other?
Like an hour ago, maybe.
Troubleshooting. That was insane.
Yeah,
Man.
glad we got it worked out.
Yeah, I had to turn on the old iMac and transfer everything over. So I'm hoping there's no bugs because this Mac is so old. So sometimes it freezes, but we'll get through it.
Yeah,
You have your drink with you?
sure. I got an Aquafina.
Water.
What are you drinking? No, nice.
Yeah. I was gonna drink, but I was like, maybe later. Too much.
Yeah, it would be hard to drink, and then halfway through the stream you get drunk, and you just lose focus, and
And
you
then
get everything.
we're in it for like 2 hours, and we still haven't answered the question. Eustace is here. Hey, Eustace. Hey, Shar. Alright, my computer's already freezing. I'm gonna try not to do too much with it.
I'm gonna see if I can get into the live chat.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's on. You can use your phone as a monitor. Just make sure that the volume is down. Hi, Alex. What's up? What's up? I am actually experimenting today. I'm broadcasting us on 3 different platforms at the same time.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I like how we can see the chat now too.
Yeah. So we're actually live on. Oh, cool. So I did this restream.io and we're live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on LinkedIn. Ah, Brianna, what's up?
Very cool.
And
Hey guys. Hi Alex, Ian, Brianna, who's in the other room.
hi Ian. Hi MK. Welcome. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so. All right, let's play our next jam. Oh man, it's freezing, but I think that's okay. We've got 3 minutes left. You see how the time is like kind of.
It's skipping a little.
Yeah, it is. It's okay. I'll play a different song. All right, let's move this here.
And I've been chilling, watching the ocean with you. Baby, up with a slow motion crew. And we up in our clouds when people change, but not us. And we just chilling, kicking it, kissed by the sun. Could be soaked to the skin in the mall soon. I know she got the good vibes when seasons change, but we're the same. Even if I lost all my money, the zero runs deep, honey. And I don't need to speak a single word.
Andre,
Cause you got me
founder of
holding,
SEO Video Show. Do you watch his show on YouTube?
my tongue tied up on it. And I don't need to speak a single word. Cause you got me holding.
Hey Dre.
Cause you got me holding. Cause you got me holding. And I'll be running, possessed by a low, low voodoo. Fired up like a wolf on a full moon. And we stuck, my tongue tied up on it. And I don't need to speak a single word. Cause you got me play me like a bass guitar.
Welcome.
Simmer down and mess me up. Tripping like I'm Jimmy at Woodstock. Drive me around in your red Ford. Shivers down my spinal cord. Cause you got me holding. Even if I lost all my money, the zero runs deep, honey. And I don't need to speak a single word.
All right. So, how do you become an entrepreneur at 18? Let's go. Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? Zen here with ClosedWon. Welcome to the Happy Hour edition. This is the channel where we can enjoy a nice cup of joe while covering basic sales tips for first-time founders. Every week, we reshare motivational videos and interview entrepreneurs who constantly learn new things while practicing these tips to push their own superhuman limits. Our goal is to introduce you to founders and entrepreneurs. They will share their journey, their inspiration, and daily habits to show you how to follow the path made for bosses. Finally, we bake in sales strategies to help you generate revenue, methods to help you close deals with your first 10 clients. Real quick, let's say hi to her. Actually, I'm gonna skip that part because I don't want the computer to freeze. So if you are new here, make sure you subscribe, smash the like, and feel free to ask us any questions. And I want to ask you, how would you become an entrepreneur at 18?
There needs to be someone who is sort of the keeper and reiterator of the vision. Because there's just a ton of work to do. And a lot of times, when you have to walk 1,000 miles and you take the first step, it looks like a long ways. And it really helps if there's someone there saying, well, we're one step closer. The goal definitely exists. It's not just a mirage out there. So in 1,001 little and sometimes larger ways, the vision needs to be reiterated. I do that a lot. Boy, I've forgotten how much work it actually is to start a company. It's a lot of work. And you've got to do everything. You've got to come up with a name. You've got to come up with a logo. In addition to designing the product, you've got to figure out what to design. You've got to figure out how you're going to get it to the marketplace. You've got to do a part number system. You've got to go get bank accounts. You've got to set up charts, general ledgers, get a management information system, get a little kitchen set up, get a coffee maker, all this stuff.
All right, there you go. Tip number 1, the vision needs to be reiterated. I need to definitely remember this. When you start a business, you're in charge of everything from bank accounts, ledgers, coffee makers, and in the mix of it all, we tend to forget. And so always reiterate the vision. Now let's listen to Arnold.
I hate plan B. When you start doubting yourself, that's very dangerous. Because now what you're basically saying is that if my plan doesn't work, I have a fallback plan. I have a plan B. And that means that you start thinking about plan B, and every thought that you put into plan B, you're taking away now that thought and that energy from plan A. We function better if there is no safety net, because plan B becomes a safety net. It says that if I fail, then I fall and I get picked up and I have something else there that will protect me. It is very dangerous to have a plan B because you're cutting yourself off from the chance of really succeeding.
All right, it's dangerous to have a plan B. Do not doubt yourself. Don't take energy away from plan A. My next guest does not have a plan B. He is all in. When he puts his mind and energy into something, he takes it to another level. Play real. He is a self-taught programmer and a tech entrepreneur. He created an app with his 2 best friends in high school at the age of 18. Since its release, February 2010, the app, 69 Position, has had over 12.8 million downloads. He grew 69 Positions from 0 to number 3 in the Apple App Store. His story has been an inspiration for many to learn how to code. Please help me welcome Michael Karr.
Hey Zen, how's it going?
Hello. How are you?
Thanks so much for having me on.
Oh my God, that was crazy, huh? We were like troubleshooting and we
It was touch and
transferred
go.
everything. I'm so glad that we got started a little earlier today. So, take it from the top. I am really curious. Who was Michael from childhood to young teen? What mindset did you have when you were 18 years old? How did you become such a boss?
So regarding the app, it wasn't just like we had woken up one day and said like let's make this app 69 positions, and then it happened. It was for me, it started with making websites when I was really young. I was just so interested in the internet and uh, the idea that anyone could just put something online and you could see it anywhere around the world just by typing in an address. And I was only 7 years old when I first started learning HTML. And I had created this website called Nintendo Land. And it was just like a fan page for Nintendo because I loved video games. And so for anyone that doesn't know, the HTML on a website, that's basically the markup language that makes up a page. And so on most websites, you could just right click and view source, and you can see the code that actually makes up that web page. And when I learned how to view source on a web page, that just changed everything for me. I was viewing source on everyone's code and just trying to learn it through seeing like what other people had created. And I also learned from some tutorials. And I just thought it was so cool. So I was like learning all these cool things, like how to add images on a website, how to change the background color, even how to add music. So all these things, I crammed them all into Nintendo Land. And there was a lot of animated GIFs. I thought those were so cool. And it was frustrating sometimes. So this was back in 1998 when everyone had dial-up modems. And with dial-up modems, it was so annoying. So if anyone in our house picked up the phone, you would just get disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you remember that.
Oh,
but
hell yeah.
So
I remember. I used to be on Napster, so I used to download
yeah.
music way back when. Mm-hmm.
So then, if you got disconnected on a dial-up modem, it's just a huge hassle. It would take like several minutes or longer to get back on, and the modems would make those. Yeah, and so anytime that would happen, I would lose like whatever I was working on that wasn't saved. But then I would try to just like recreate the HTML that I did and just do it even better each time. And so this Nintendo Land, that was kind of the first thing I did as an entrepreneur, even though it never made any money. Like making money in business, that wasn't even on my mind at the time. It was, I just wanted to create something that other people could experience. And then flash forward a couple of years, in sixth grade, I was only 11 years old at the time, and I wanted to do more than just lay out pages with HTML.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do more advanced stuff. So I started learning PHP, which is the first real back-end coding language I learned. And it's hard, and I was young, but I just had like so much experience just like messing with HTML that I realized like you can only do so much with it. And I saw people like doing more things. Like I'll give you an example with PHP, you can do dynamic things. Like you can have a database of users, and then those users can log in to a website you create. And so that's like much more advanced than just like laying out a page.
Right.
And so then I took this, and I had learned PHP. I had gotten a book from a bookstore on it, and it's just like little tidbits. It's if you just break it up and try to think of it in little pieces, like this little thing does that, then you just put all these small pieces together and it makes something big. And so I took this little bit of knowledge, and before Facebook and MySpace existed, most of the kids in class had used AOL Instant Messenger or AIM, as everyone
Mhm.
called it,
Yep.
to talk outside of school. But the issue was everyone had their own unique screen name. And so you could never really like talk to people unless you knew what their screen name was. And so I put together this new website, which I called Shovelmate, and it was a joint buddy list. And so everyone from school, it had like their username on it with their real name. And so because it had real names for all of us, I made it so that you had to log in. So the only people that could log in and access it were the people in our 6th grade class. And I thought this was so cool because it seemed like everyone in our class was using it. And not only was it like a buddy list for everybody, but it also had like really cool things. Like you could see if someone was online or not, just from this website that I made. So it was kind of like a precursor almost to MySpace or Facebook, like a way to connect everybody outside of school. But I was so young, I didn't realize like how big it could have been, just being in 6th grade. But just working on this was so exciting until then MySpace and Facebook came out, and everyone just kind of like started using that. And of course it had messaging built in. And so overall, like AIM kind of just like died out because it just made more sense to just talk on MySpace or Facebook. But it was just like a really cool project that I had worked on when I was younger, that just got me into coding in general. And so then flash forward to like the summer before my senior year of high school, the iPhone had been out for about a year or two. And, but the concept of apps on the iPhone that Apple didn't create, like user created apps or, the studio created apps, basically, it was still pretty new. And I had read this article about a guy who had made $600,000 on his own with an iPhone app that he had made, and it was just him.
Angry Birds?
And
what is it?
It was before Angry Birds. I think it was called Trism. Trism or something along those lines. It might not have been Trism, but it was just a real simple game. But the surprising part was that it was just like one guy, and he had just learned on his own. And I felt like I could kind of like relate because I had learned like all this stuff previously on my own. And so I figured like I should just make an app. And so I really thought that I could do it. I started to learn. I got these 2 books about Xcode and Objective-C, which back when apps had first come out, you were locked into only using those 2 things. Now there's a lot of other ways to do it, but back then it was those 2 specific things. Mm-hmm. And I tried to learn it, and then I realized that this coding, it was nothing like creating a website or PHP or anything. It was way too advanced and way over my head. And so I just like I figured like it was too much. I couldn't do it. So
I'm looking at all the comments. They're like, dang, you're smart. You're picking all of this up by yourself. I mean, imagine HTML, and then you went to PHP. 6th grade, right? 6th grade, you picked this up.
Sixth grade for PHP.
6th grade, I was working on Apple, I think.
Well, so working on Apple before senior year of high school, but that's kind of like where I just hit a wall. Almost, it was like, I don't think I can actually learn this with these books. It doesn't really make sense because there's more advanced things. Like you have to learn how to manage the memory of the phone. And the phones were so small at the time that if you didn't manage the memory, anything you try to create would just crash. And so it was just really hard. And I gave up on it for a little while, but then we were at my friend Alex's house, and my other one of my best friends at the time, Chris.
Were you guys partying, or was it just like a study session? I'm curious.
It was
you're
high
18,
school,
right? So tell us, how old were you?
We were just hanging out.
Okay.
We used to play beer pong with water back in
You were
back in high school. Yeah, we were practicing for college. But but yeah, we were just hanging out, and Chris told me about his idea for an app, 69 positions. And I was just thinking like that is so smart. Like that could be really, really big. And I have no idea how he came up with the concept at the time. 'Cause, you know, we were just in high school, but we just ran with it. And so we had looked into it a little bit, and we saw that there was only one other app like it at the time. And it was like text only with no pictures. And so that was going to be our big differentiator, is we were going to have sex positions in the App Store with illustrations, but tasteful and elegant illustrations.
Right. You won't get
And
that because
right,
Apple
yeah,
does
because Apple is still like family friendly.
Wait, is Alex your friend? This guy in chat right now is
Yeah,
the
he
one?
is.
He's saying you guys got drunk. Come on, tell the
Yeah.
truth. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, Alex, I see you, man. Okay, all right.
So anyway, we separated the workout like this. I was going to code it, even though I didn't know how to code, at least not for the iPhone yet. Chris was going to illustrate it, even though he wasn't an artist. And then Nate, my other best friend, at the time, he was going to write the descriptions for all the positions. And he was actually interested in learning to code as well. And so later on, he had helped with an update that it was checklist for the positions that would add up all the percentages, and you could just check them off. So
Once you do it.
yeah.
Wow. It's like a truth and
So that was
truth
really
or dare.
cool.
Pure elegance,
Yeah.
Brianna says. This is awesome.
So actually, like, having an idea to work on, and not just being like, oh, I want to make an app, but you don't really have a vision. Just having the idea helps me get over the steep learning curve. And so as I was like trying to learn the concepts for creating an iPhone app, I was able to tie it into how would this make sense for the 69 positions app? Like what screens are there going to be in the app? How is everything going to be laid out and displayed for the users? And then when it came to the illustrations, we needed to figure that out. So I did some searching online, and I had found this vector graphic that was just two silhouette figures standing, and you could position them in any way you wanted to with Adobe Illustrator. And so I sent this vector to Chris, and he put them into all the 69 different positions. And that's how we got our beautiful illustrations.
That sounds so much fun. Wow.
It was a lot of fun. So overall, from start to finish, having the idea and getting it done, it took about 2 months to create this app as I was learning. So as I was learning, I was putting it together. And so I never actually finished the books that I was reading about it because I was just doing it. And then once we finished the app, I didn't read the rest of the books. But the majority of the time, because obviously like we were in school, so you don't have that much time during the day. We had Christmas break, and I think our Christmas break was like 2 weeks. And so every day during those 2 weeks, I was putting in, I really think it was like 15 hours a day of work just to get this done, because we thought that it was going to be so big. Then we finally got it done, and we sent it into Apple for approval. And so with Apple's process, you can't just, it's not like a website. You can't just throw it up on the internet. You have to send it into Apple, and then they have to approve it. And this process like can take a long time. And so it took a week, and then they sent me an email saying that actually we need more time to review this, like more in depth. And so that was really scary for me. I thought
rated R.
Yeah, it had the 17 plus rating in the App Store. It's not like, because they were just silhouettes. It wasn't like explicit. Even the descriptions, they were more funny than explicit. But so after that first week, I just thought that they were just going to reject it, and we had done all this hard work for nothing. And then another week went by, and I get the email that Apple had approved it. And I got this email while I was in class with Chris, and I kind of just like interrupted class to like let him know across the room that, hey, like it's approved. And I think, I don't know, but it seems like everyone kind of knew what we were talking about. Because even though we didn't talk about it that much like publicly, everyone like kind of had an idea that we were working on some sort of app like this. And so the whole classroom was just like kind of excited. And even the teacher like had made a joke about it without like addressing exactly what it was. And so like once it just got released, it kind of just took off from there. And it was just like such an exciting time for all three of us. We would go over the sales numbers each day before school. And originally, like we didn't know like how much to price it at. So we just priced it at $1.99. It seemed like that's good. $1.99.
What did you get for
that was
$1.99? Was it free?
so Apple keeps 30%. At least they used to. Just this year, they changed it to 15% if you're making under $1 million from the App Store, which is good, but that would have been much better if they did that like since the beginning.
Yeah.
Right. And so we had it priced at $1.99. Then like shortly after, we came out with a second version that was just totally free. And so at this time, there was no in-app purchases. So it was like a common thing to have a free version of the app. So it would drive people to the paid version. So as the paid version was climbing up the app charts, we had a second version that we put under a different category. The paid one was in the lifestyle category, but we put the free one in the entertainment category, which is a much, much bigger category. And so we were kind of like grabbing people from two categories. Yep. So it's kind of like we were getting two scoops for one app. And as it would just climb up the charts, more people would see it, download the free version, and it would funnel them into the paid version.
Right.
And we had this idea to just do a sale, like a 50% off sale. And we said it was just going to be for like a limited time, but we just kept it on sale forever, because cutting the price to just $1, it just skyrocketed up the app charts. And like you were saying, in total, like since then and now, it's been downloaded over 12.8 million times. And when it was the number 3 overall app in the App Store, and that was out of so now there's millions of apps.
Yeah.
But so for the lifestyle category, the paid version was number 1. And for the entertainment category, the free version was number 1 there as well. And overall, the app was the number 3 overall in the entire App Store, which was just insane. It was out of 250,000 apps at the time. And so like you really can't get much higher than that.
Yeah.
We were hoping for number 1 overall, but it was like we were going against Where's Waldo and Angry Birds.
Right. But still, number 3, two categories, lifestyle and entertainment. That's still quite an achievement for your first app in the Apple App Store.
And so at the peak of it was making $15,000 a day for us, profit. And we were just in high school. And we were just splitting it between the 3 of us. And it was good times.
That is insane. Wow, what a journey. That is so crazy. So you grew the app from 0 to 12 million downloads. You were making $15,000 per day. You're going to school. How in the hell were you able to balance that, plus learning how to code, plus hanging out with your buddies, plus going to school, Plus, I'm sure you had some girls in mind that you wanted to date around too as well. So, what is your secret? You're a teenager. What is going on?
Yeah, and so it's hard because you just need to find time to focus. And so I do really think like when you're a teenager, it's probably one of the best times to get into entrepreneurship since you have a lot of free time outside of school, hopefully, to just focus on learning new things and trying out stuff. And and also like hopefully at this point you're not paying a lot of bills. So you can work on all these like little projects and not need to worry like, okay, like I am gonna be reliant on this. So I need it to work out no matter what. It's like you can experiment and just try a bunch of new things to see what works rather than when you're older you kind of have to go all in on whatever because you have bills. And so it's kind of just like the skill of wanting to do something, especially when it comes to creating new things and then learning how to do it. That's something that I still use every day. Even now, like as a self-employed web developer, that when it comes to programming, there's always more that you can learn. And I really like that because it's just like you can never become the best at it. There's always going to be more to learn, and there's always going to be people that you can learn from in this sector. And just being able to get over the learning curve of making an app when I was so young, it helped me realize that you can just learn anything if you get focused and spend enough time on it. And the thing is, like, you can't just rely on going to classes in high school or going to classes in college or even like taking boot camps and expecting other people to just give you the knowledge. You have to seek it out yourself, and you have to see how that fits into building something and creating things that other people find value from.
Yeah, I want to take a question from our audience real quick.
Yeah.
And let's see here. SEO Video Show is asking, making that kind of money at a young age, it's hard saving it without the right financial education. Did you invest it?
I did do a very early investment into a Tesla stock.
Whoa, what?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Okay, that
As
is
as did some of the other people from the app as well.
okay. That is pretty cool. Actually, when we met, I think it was you and your friends telling me to invest in Bitcoin the first time we met, and the first time I moved into Vegas. You're like, Bitcoin this, Bitcoin that. I'm like, okay, I'll get into Bitcoin. I don't know what it is.
And so that's a huge thing is just understanding like the cutting edge technology. So back then getting into Tesla was huge. These days it's all about crypto, and like right now it's NFTs. And so if you can learn NFTs and how they work, you can make a lot of money in NFTs right now. But who knows, like next year, like think this, you kind of have to be on the forefront of where the trends are going to be before they get there. Because right now, if you try to get into NFTs, it might already be too late. The
What
people
is
that are
NFT?
making
I don't know.
so an NFT is a non-fungible token, and it's a way to sell digital art that there's only one of its kind. And so before this, it was like if you try to share an image online, anyone could just copy that image and save it. But with NFTs, it's recorded on the blockchain that only one person can own this piece of artwork. And because now with crypto merging with digital art, it's anyone in the world can verify that only one person owns the rights to that work, and you can sell that right to someone else.
Hmm.
And just a couple of weeks ago, one of these NFTs sold for $69 million, which is just insane. And so now finally artists that have learned how to work with NFTs can make a ton of money on their work. And it's really cool.
Huh. Non-fungible tokens. Okay. I will definitely look into that. So that takes me to my next question. It sounds like you're doing a lot of good things. You know, you're at the forefront of technology. How do you beat failures? But first, share some of the failures that you've experienced, um, and tell us how you were able to flip them into something positive.
Yeah, I can think of a couple. So specifically with 69 positions, um, one of the things that we hit was it's really hard to do paid marketing for an app like that because it has adult content. And so we tried so many times to run like paid advertising for it, like, you know, like little banner ads inside of other apps. And anytime like we could maybe get away with it for like a day, but then they said like, sorry, like this is adult content and we can't do it. So even though it was okay for Apple, it wasn't okay for these advertising networks, which was fine. But that it made it hard in the initial stages to kind of get it off because we needed to get the word out there about this app, but we couldn't pay to advertise it. And we had already like told all of our friends about it. And so we exhausted our network like that. But I came across this page on Facebook, and this was in the early days of Facebook before they changed their algorithm. It used to be like if you had a lot of likes on a page, you could post and every single person would see what you post. These days, like it doesn't work like that. These days, if you want to reach your own audience, you actually have to pay Facebook, and which is crazy. But it's how they make so much money. So back then I had found this page that had 600,000 likes on it, and it was a college meme page, with just like funny things on it. And it seemed like completely organic, but on a separate website called Fiverr, where you can pay like $5 to have people do almost like anything. I saw that it was listed there that you could have a post put on there for only $5. And so I did that with just a screenshot from 69 Positions and a joke about it. And it went over like just insanely well. Because they put it on this meme page, and it instantly had hit 600,000 people at once.
You hit the right target market.
Oh yeah,
Luckily.
exactly. And like we weren't even in college yet, but I feel like this is probably like something college kids would like, and it was true. And so just those kind of like little hacks, like we couldn't do the traditional route, but we kind of like found a back door to get the word out and just show like subtly. It wasn't like go download this app right now. It was like it was just a screenshot of the app. And if people wanted to check it out, they did so without even being told to. That's kind of like the best kind of marketing. It's like you're not telling someone to do something. It's like, oh, they see like that looks funny. Like I want to download that for myself. So those kind of tactics, they worked extremely well. And that was part of the whole strategy of let's get this ranked as high as possible just to get more people seeing it. So I guess, so the failure was we couldn't market it because it was adult content. So we had to find other ways. At least we couldn't do paid marketing. I get so $5 for a post like that. That's insanely cheap.
At the time, yeah. But
Yeah,
the other
yeah.
thing too is you shouldn't be doing advertising anyway. Advertising is like, it's just not good in general. Like if you are organic, everything, organic growth, organic traffic is a lot better. SEO video show just mentioned ASO, App Store optimization, which was pretty big. I don't know if it's still good today because there's millions of apps, so it's going to be pretty competitive.
Yeah, so I can talk a little bit about that. When the app first came out, it was the term ASO didn't even exist yet. It was just like you have a couple of keywords.
Yep.
And so I just like loaded up the keywords with things that I thought people would be searching for. that had to do with the app. But I think I put in like some like random grabs. Like I think I threw the word girls in there. And so if people search for girls, it
Girls,
would
then
just
they
bring
would-
up
Smart. Interesting.
yeah. So like little things like that. These days ASO is a huge industry because now there's like so many specific things that Apple has tweaked their algorithm for. Like back then, just the reviews.
Yep.
Having a lot of 5-star reviews helped a ton, and it still does.
Keywords in your reviews will help
right.
you as well.
But so back then, there was a thing where if you deleted an app, it would ask you to review it right then. And so if someone downloads your app and then deletes it, they're not deleting it because they liked it. So of course they're going to give you like low reviews. And so in the App Store, we had all these reviews of people hating on it. And like sometimes like getting into like heated debates on whether this should even be in the App Store or not. And it was all just kind of like the debate around it kind of just brought it more publicity, which was good for us. But I'm just glad that Apple got rid of that thing where deleting an app forces you to rate it, because from the developer side, like you don't want a bunch of negative reviews coming in just because people like it wasn't for them, you know?
Yeah. Why are you downloading the 69 positions anyway? So this takes us to our next question, which is tactical like steps on how to become an entrepreneur at 18. Like share some resources, the time it took to learn how to write an iOS application. Like what did you have to do to learn how to build that app and to just be an entrepreneur at 18?
Right. So I guess like becoming an entrepreneur at any age, especially when you're young, it's just about experimenting and learning how to create things that offer value to people in some way. And for me, when I was a lot younger, I was making websites, and I love the Nintendo Land website. I got a lot of good feedback on it, but I was only 7 years old, so of course there's going to be like limitations on how like really cool it could be. But then like in middle school, I had created that the Universal Buddy List directory, the Shovelmate, and people really liked that. I still wasn't charging for it, but I was still creating things for all of my life that people could experience and interact with, and it was beneficial to them in some way, either entertaining or actually useful. And then if you're actually able to charge people for what you made and scale it up, you've created a business out of something, and hopefully like you enjoy doing it. That's a huge thing. Like you're just having fun and you create something and it just takes on a life of its own.
Yeah, I agree with you with enjoying. I think if you don't enjoy something, you're building it, you'll quit pretty quick. You're like, F this, you know. Why am I doing
And
this in this place, you know?
it's definitely a huge issue. Like you're working on things, and it just, especially when it comes to coding, there's so many obstacles you hit. And I guess not just coding, but any sort of business in general. Like you may hit legal regulations or something that you have to work through, and either like get the permits, and just so many barriers to getting done what you want to get done. And I used to think of it as a bad thing, but actually now if you think of it as a good thing, because all of these barriers, like the steep learning curve, all these hoops you need to go through to get things done, that's at every point of it, there's going to be people that stop and they give up. And that's for the people that stick with it. Now you just cut out so much competition that was working on something but gave up, and you're still there getting it done.
Before I ask my last question, tell our viewers where to find you.
So 2 places. If you want to see the app, it hasn't been updated in a while. You can go to solo.to/69, just the number 69. and I put links on there. So it's the free version and the paid version. But for when it came out in 2010, the design was very cutting edge. These days it's a little dated, but you can see it. You can see all the reviews that have built up since 2010. It's get a good laugh out of it. I can, but it's such a hassle. But so with Apple, you kind of have to update it, because if you don't update it, then they change their rules with every new iOS version that comes out. So if you don't stay up to date with all of Apple's changes, then they can just take it out of the App Store completely, which is kind of frustrating because sometimes their changes like don't even make sense, and it can be hard, all the stuff that they expect. When apps first came out, there was only one size screen that you needed to code it for.
Yep.
But then as they kept adding more, then they said, well, you have to optimize this for every single iPhone that's coming out, and there's a new one every year. So if you don't do that, we're taking you out of the App Store, which is stressful. Like I really, that's something about app development that I did not enjoy. And I'm doing web development now, which you don't have any sort of restrictions like that. And yeah, and so that's a big thing. I would say if anyone is trying to get into coding, look into web development instead of app development.
Web application?
Web application, yeah. Because these days you can do almost anything in a browser that you can do in an app. And so it almost like doesn't really make sense to try to code an app, because you can't just code for Apple these days. You have to code for Android, and then you have to have a desktop application. So many different things. Whereas with app development, you can just create one web app that's responsive, so it works in any browser, on your phone, on any device, on a tablet, anywhere. And so just things like that, someone just getting into coding might not realize until you've actually done it and spent a lot of time realizing it.
Yeah, it's a very good tip.
Understand.
Learn how to build a web application versus an iOS, because iOS, you have to go through Apple App Store, and they have very complex scopes, and then they'll demand different variations of your app, and eventually you're just gonna fall out of love. Out of the
Right.
idea. And so
And that is what happened to me. I fell out of love with coding because of all of Apple's like strict regulations.
they
And
kind of
so
became your big boss.
right, yeah. And so at one point, I had even gone to law school and thought I was going to be a lawyer. And then I quickly learned that I did not want to do that. So I spent more time like trying to get into law school than the 8 weeks of law school that I did. And after dropping out of law school, I had picked up web development, again, doing PHP as I was doing back when I was 11 years old. So I was kind of had some familiarity with it. And now I'm really happy
There you go.
as a firm.
Oh, yeah, Steve Jobs drop out, Mark Zuckerberg drop out. So come on.
Yeah. And then, so to reach me, I don't really use social media very much, but I have my own page that's solo.to/Michael. And then I have some of my social media on there, but I also have a couple books if people are interested in entrepreneurship and marketing, that I recommend checking out, and coding as well. So
So
couple of
like this,
resources.
solo.to/Michael. Like that?
Yes.
All right.
Let's see. Yes, that's right.
All right, good. Perfect. So we are going into the ClosedWon tip. So let me go ahead and play this video real quick. And this is a tip by Gary V.
Sales. Austin, I think you need to reverse engineer who you're selling to. So if I were you, Austin, I would spend all of January taking people out to lunch and dinner or a drink or getting them on the phone, but literally spending the entire month of January not selling to people and just listening to the people that you sell to figure out what their pain points are. I would walk in and be like, hey, D-Rock, you know I sell you computer stuff and things of that nature. What are your pain points? What's your problem? What's your struggles in your business? Like, let's cut the crap. Like, yes, I wanna sell to you, but let's take a step back. I wanna sell to you by providing you some sort of value. Maybe I have a friend. Maybe I will recommend that you watch the Ask Gary Vee show to make your business better. Maybe I'll do a lot of things, but what I'm doing is I'm providing you value, and our conversation and our relationship is not just predicated on me selling. You know, it's kind of like, I was talking to one of my friends, he's like, I wanna have better relationships with girls. I'm like, cool, why don't you make it something about other than sex? Like if your whole relationship is like, I wanna hang out with you every time to just hook up, there's probably a good chance that person doesn't think that you're providing them much value outside of that execution, which is a fine execution, everybody needs it, I get it, blah, blah, blah. Same way I think about sales. If you're just selling every single time, that is what your foundational relationship is based on. And you become spam and sales all the time. Why don't you spend all of January not selling ever once and opening your ears and listening and trying to help even outside of the context of you? Even outside the context of you. Meaning, how can you help them besides just their business? Maybe you'll get to know D-Rock and find out that his aunt is a huge Dallas Cowboys fan and you just get a Dallas Cowboys hat. Say, hey, you go to eBay and buy a Tony Dorsett opened starting lineup for 49 cents, $3 shipping, but you send and say, hey, give this to your aunt. It's not what you spent, it was the thought. That stuff matters.
Boom. So, how does Michael close deals?
So closing deals for me, it's not so much on a one-to-one level. It's kind of more like, let me create this one thing and then put it out to the masses. And so to do that, you need to think of how can you create something in a way that appeals to a broad audience, which isn't easy. And then on top of that, whatever you're working on, if you can figure out ways to include a viral loop growth somehow, then that is more valuable than any sort of paid marketing. And so for like 69 positions, that viral growth loop, that was using the App Store ranking system to get more visibility. And I knew like if we could just get downloads left and right, then we could just keep moving it up so that more people would see it, until the point where like if you open the App Store, you couldn't miss it because it was the first thing you would see when it was ranked number 3. And then on top of that, the content was just so funny with the pictures that Chris had created and Nate's descriptions that you couldn't help but laugh and then share it with somebody. Like, look how like ridiculous this is. And just all these things, like finding ways to create things that almost market themselves in a way is really, really good. And then these days, like let's say you're not going to do, so Apple kind of changed the way that rankings work in the App Store. And it might have been because of 69 positions, because they didn't want everyone seeing like 69 being the first thing that anyone would see when they open up the App Store. So you might be wondering like, well, what's an example of a growth loop that someone can use today? And that would be trying to build whatever you're creating to have an affiliate program built in. And when you have an affiliate program built in, then people are incentivized to share it because they benefit themselves. And so an example of affiliate program, and it should always be like double-sided. So the person sharing it gets something, but then the person you shared it with gets something as well. And so an example of that could be like Dropbox, where they only gave you a certain amount of space in your Dropbox, like 5 gigabytes, or maybe it was 2, something like that. But if you shared Dropbox with your friend, they would get 500 extra megabytes, but then so would you. And so it would be like, if you were going to use Dropbox, you wanted to find somebody that was already using it so that you could get that bonus. And then you wanted to share that with everybody else as well. So just kind of coming up with unique ideas of being able to get people to share things like that is really, really beneficial.
Thank you, Michael. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Great series. I had a lot of fun interviewing you. Stick around. and talk to our audience. I think you have a fan here. SEO Video Show. He said, great conversation. Hung out with you numerous times, but he never knew how awesome your professional life is and your accomplishments. So that is pretty dope.
Thank you.
So stick around and engage, and then we'll connect.
I will. I'll jump in the chat.
Awesome. All right.
Cool.
So, closers, I hope you enjoyed learning more about Michael and his journey to becoming a successful entrepreneur at 18. Imagine learning how to code on your own, releasing your product on the Apple App Store, becoming number 3, acquiring 12 million downloads, and making $15,000 per day. Wow. Incredible. I believe that this is a journey that anyone can go on, and that the biggest mistake you can ever make is to wait until you're ready. You'll never be ready to start, and you'll never be ready to build. If we all waited, we will never be ready. Like, we'll be waiting for the rest of our lives. And so, if you want to be inspired, and you want to follow Michael, download his app, solo.2/69. Rewatch this video, learn as much as you can for free, because these tips and lessons will change you if you let them. And so, if you haven't done so, make sure to subscribe, smash the like, and until next time, keep on closing. Peace. Becoming a successful entrepreneur isn't easy, but it's not impossible. Subscribe to my channel today, and together, let's figure out how to grow.
Bring that ass back like a boom.